What would be your advice for someone who is looking to have a career as a sommelier as a beginner?
So, it's a job of passions. For me, it's a job that you really need to embrace 100% of yourself. I know I say that I felt really old when I say that, but it's when I started, um, I felt like the relationship that you were having with a guest. So sometimes when you know the wine that you will taste like this, and the guest will tell you after, "Oh wow, it's beautiful. Thank you very much." That's like the thanks to the guest, the thanks to that's what I learned, that's what I taste, that's what I remember. For me, sommelier is not a complicated job because it's a curious job. I describe more as a Epicurean. You need to like everything. So start from eating or smelling everything, because what you will find on the wine, it will be most of the time something that you already taste or smell. Of course, keeping you updated with the knowledge, that is a kind of daily thing that you can do. Could start from reading a book, like global knowledge about wine, what is the train, what is not the train. Of course, the base, it's what is the most important, because it's making you your confidence, it's making you building yourself also. So of course, at the beginning, you need to open the books. I remember that I was writing a lot, taking notes a lot.
Okay.
For me, this how I remember that during example, like during lockdown, I was passing the course of master sommelier, so I had a lot of time. So I did in the computer, in the world, basically all the countries in the world with the same template per appellation. So name
Okay.
of the appellation, name of the first AOC, number of the hectare, most of the well-known producer, kind of style, location, literally the same templates, but maps, explanation. It took
Okay.
me a lot of time. I had also a lot of time, but this is a really important to start with the structure. Sometimes I know we don't know where to start because wine, it's really wide, it's really complicated, but it depends the restaurant I'm gonna work. I would say, for example, if I take the example of here, it's a French restaurant. I would say it's better to start from French regions. So you start from maybe not the biggest one because you will be scared, but something that you personally like. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Loire Valley, for example.
Okay.
You can start from Loire. You can start a bit. You break down the Loire in four different party, and then party per party, you try to have a look what you have, what is known on that region, which grape, which type of soil, which influences, which climate, which type of topography. So smaller and smaller and smaller, and then after you will actually create that presentation
Yep.
in your computer or in your writing, if you prefer to do on your paper. But smaller and smaller will start to help you actually to understand. I take sometimes a bit of flashcard, so I do a bit of
Yep.
question like first vintage of this, first vintage of top cuvee, and this is also helping you to remember that kind of important points that you can find or that you will face sometimes with the guests. Sometimes what is very good also here, it's I taste the first vintage of some of the producers, so I'm able to remember that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, like, I know Claude Duménil, for example, from Krug is 1979. I tasted three times. Claude Bonnet from Krug is 95, which is a Pinot Noir. So the same, because I already taste them, I remember them. It's like kind of those fact that by ear is a kind of a log that we don't have maybe everywhere in the world. But I would say starting from breaking down an appellation, an area of where you want to learn per
Yep.
party, and then those party developing a little bit more. It's really important to know an appellation, of course, when it's been created, the number of hectare, because we can ask you for some exam that's sometimes happening, the type of soil, which is super important, the type of climate, the topography, if it's plain, middle slope, high slope, plateau, um, also the top producers, which is also very important because
Yep.
it's nice to know the appellation, but also really nice to know who is having there, because they will be. I remember I was facing the exam that I done. It was a competition. I had this question about propose me an aperitif that is not wine at all. So, most of the competition of sommelier is easy. You say champagne to start. That's the kind of easy question. And I said, that's fine. I love martini personally. Perfect gin martini to start, very dry with a twist. This is the kind of things also bringing your personal touch, what I like, which is also is going to help you to know also the wine. So, yeah, I think it's also interesting to understand where you start from. And after, slowly and slowly, you can't learn, you can't know everything. Unfortunately, I think it's nice also to maybe to don't know everything, because it's important also to know what is happening around you. It's important to know your wine list. It's important to know your base, but slowly talking with guests, opening books, tasting wines, it's also where you develop your knowledge and different sense of enjoyment also.
I see. That's a very great advice, to come up with a structure, because the wine industry is very, very complicated, very wide, and there is no correct structure, because each country has their own appellation system. There are differences, so there is no correct way to go about it. Just as you mentioned, come up with a structure, just choose the region and start.
I think the most important is to do it slowly. It's to don't for example, now I finished the French wine scholar guild. I remember that the book was really interesting. It was like less than 300 pages. It was really well structured, because each region they were divided, so they were really well explained. Like you're gonna have champagne. Okay, champagne. What is the history of champagne? And after, how we make champagne? What's the type of history you find? And after, each sub-region, they were also divided on which are the main grape, which grape that you can find. And basically, you start from an history part and then you increase a little bit more. It's the best to start the title. Okay, Burgundy. Okay, Burgundy. What are the sub-regions? Okay, on the sub-region, where can I find it? Then where I can find more white than red, where I can find the Grand Cru. And then after, boom, etc., etc., etc. And you will arrive with, I remember like when I was doing during lockdown, some of the region, I developed them, I did 25 pages.
Wow.
I spent like days and days and days, but it took me a time. But now I need to go back some time, because I need to update new appellation, new things coming. I have this base basically, which is now in the system. And if I need, I remember a girl was, I had a sommelier who she was studying Eastern of Europe, which is really complicated, because how to pronounce, how to take the grape. So I said, okay, it's fine. I've got the file. I'm going to print it to you. It was like 50 pages, something like this.
Wow.
But all the appellation, I wrote it down with favorite grape, grape that you can add, majority of the percentage of the first grapes, etc. So, you have this base, and slowly you develop this base. So that's why, like this presentation, I wish to, maybe we can talk about this in a year ago, and I say I've got 150 producer on my storage, and now all the guys are able to speak about 150 producer. That would be just amazing,
Yeah, that is a great approach and a great way to build the knowledge base, and you can always go back and check out those things. And I think it helps you to tell those stories, because when you create these notes, you're already thinking about explaining them, like teaching all these things. I think, and I also experienced this while studying, that for some reason you remember it better, because you have a story behind it, and you know how to explain it. This way it's a lot easier and a lot better. Thanks for watching this video. You can watch the full podcast episode by clicking here, or watch another interesting video by clicking here. Let's continue the discussion in the comment section, and see you in the next one.